All right, guys, it's time to rank the biggest sore losers in UFC history. The guys that bring on the excuses, they bring on the cope, the delusion on why they lost. They slipped on a banana peel, they drank some wine before the fight. They had a concussion, the whole 9 yards. So let's get right into it. Starting off with Colby Covington, right into the A tier. Colby's known to make excuses. He went on record to say that Leon Edwards beat him because the judges gave it to Leon because he supports Trump. No, the judges gave it to Leon because you fought like a you know what for 5 rounds. Like, bro, come on. And then he claimed he had a broken foot. And thank you to the first responders. No, you went into that fight as a nerd and a virgin, and you lost, and you got your ass kicked. So take your L like a man. And then the Usman one fight, he was coping, saying that, oh, I slipped on a banana peel, and Mark Goddard with his illegal calls, which to his credit, there were some pretty bad calls in that fight by Mark Goddard. But dude, Colby Covington can't take a loss, never has been able to. So maybe he should stick to poker because these days he's not a good fighter. Retire, buddy. You're 36 years old, paying Instagram models for videos. Anyways, moving right along. Dominick, the decisionator Cruz, we're going to put him in the C tier. Now, specifically, whenever Dominick Cruz fought Henry Cejudo at 2 UFC 249, he went on record to say that Keith Peterson smelled like alcohol and cigarettes, and it was an early stoppage. Like, bro, Henry Cejudo hit you so hard in the head, you thought the referee smelled like cigarettes and alcohol? Bro was hella concussed. He got clapped by Henry Cejudo, who then retired, so he was super embarrassed. But I mean, I get it, early stoppage thinking. But bro, to say that a referee was on alcohol and cigarettes, that's a new one, Dominic. And then I'm gonna get called a casual for this, but whenever he fought Cody Garbrandt and he lost at the post-fight press conference, everybody gives him so much praise for like being like accepting of the loss. But I always found he was super salty and like dismissive of the media and just this is not a loss, this is life. I don't know. Maybe I'm a casual for that one, but Dominic Cruz in the C tier, I think is fair. Salty man after losing to Henry Cejudo. Moving on, Paulo Costa. We're gonna go C tier as well. We'll go B tier. Paulo Costa, pretty big sore loser whenever he lost to Adesanya. He said that he was hung over the night before and that he was no hungover. He drank wine the night before and that he was hungover inside the octagon whenever he fought Adesanya. Bro, what are you doing drinking wine before the fight, you idiot? And then he got embarrassed by Adesanya, finishing the second round and then humped and went on a coping tour through interviews and such. It was embarrassing. And he ain't been the same fighter since. So Paulo Costa, he's like got like 5, 6 losses now. Man ain't been the same since Adesanya clapped him. So yeah, stay off the wine, Paulo Costa. Stick to the secret juice, buddy. B tier for you today. Moving right along, we got the little snake in the grass himself, T.J. Dillashaw. I want to put him S, but there's only one fighter going in S today. T.J. Dillashaw, one of the biggest sore losers in UFC history, could not accept his loss to Dominick Cruz in 2016. Dude had every excuse in the book. I won that fight. I won that fight. The judges gave it to him, but I won that fight. No, bro, you lost. They gave it to Dominic because you lost. And then the amount of fucking coping he did after he lost to Henry Cejudo in 32 seconds because it was an early stoppage. This dude has the most massive ego, knowing he was on EPO that fight, and then he's gonna have the audacity to cope and say, "I'm in on a single leg. I've been on a single leg." No, no, bro. Cejudo finished you while you was on PEDs, and then you're so delusional that you come back years later after your 2-year ban was over for EPO to fight Aljamain. So delusional that you think you can beat Aljamain with one arm, but no, your shoulders are so jacked up. TJ the snake in the grass, Dillashaw. He should definitely retire. I don't think he's ever going to fight again. But yeah, A tier for him always has an excuse. It goes on a coping tour every time he loses. So yeah, moving along, Conor McGregor also in the A tier. His foot was a balloon. Whenever he only counts, this is a good one. He only counts knockout losses, so he only has one true loss to Dustin Poirier. He doesn't count submissions. So the loss he has to Joe Duffy, the loss he has to Habib and Nate Diaz, none of those count because it's not real fighting. Conor McGregor, if you dive for the legs, it's not real fighting. It's what cowards do. It's, in an MMA fight, you got to just strike and box with me, dude. But yeah, Conor McGregor definitely salty and coping after every loss, especially his third loss to Dustin Poirier and his loss to Habib, just on a whole coping tour and interviews, and he never accepts the loss. And then he pulled out of the fight with Michael Chandler for the same reason that he criticized RDA for pulling out at UFC 196 because he's had a bruised foot. So yeah, Conor McGregor definitely can't take a loss. So A tier for sure. Moving on, Nick Diaz. Now, some of you might be confused about this one, but back in 2013, when Nick Diaz fought GSP, he had a whole load of excuses on why he lost. He said GSP was greasing. Then he said that GSP missed weight by 3 pounds, but the commission allowed it to go on instead. He said that GSP was on steroids. And then the best one of all, he said that GSP team poisoned his IV, which caused him to lose the fight. Like, no, bro, you got your ass out grappled by GSP for 5 rounds. That's why you lost, not because your IV was poisoned. So Nick Diaz with some classic S tier excuses, but just in the C tier today because he accepts most of his losses fair and square. So yeah, C tier for Nick Diaz. Moving right along, one of the saltiest fighters in UFC history, Jamal Salty Man Hill. Jamahal Hill, I'm gonna put him in A tier, even though his only cope was against his loss to Alex Pereira. But good God, this dude is on a coping tour, saying that the next time him and Alex fights, he's gonna knock him out, and he's arguing with every fan on Twitter about it, saying that they wouldn't say it to his face, and he has 20 grand to come fight him at the gym. Like, this dude is a massive sore loser. No, he's mad because he talked a whole bunch of shit leading up to the Alex fight, and he couldn't back it up, and he got knocked out. And even when he got knocked out in the fight, he went on record to say that he was aware the whole time he never went out and he wasn't hurt and he didn't suffer any damage. Like, Jamahal Hill is a walking cope about the Alex loss. Can't take it. Just continues to make all the damn excuses in the world. Like, bro, take your loss. You lost. You talked a whole bunch of crap. You got KO'd into the and then you got emoted on by Alex Pereira. So you're super mad about that. But yeah, he copes about this loss to this day. Just there's compilations of YouTube on YouTube of Jamahal Hill coping. So go watch those. They're hilarious. But yeah, Salty Maul in the A tier is more than fair. Moving on, Jorge Masvidal. I'm gonna put a Jorge Masvidal in the B tier. He never really made that many excuses, but he was such a sore loser about the Colby fight. He did say he felt flat in that fight, but he was such a sore loser, and I guess he did make the excuse of a short notice against Usman. Then he got KO'd in the rematch with the full camp. So, but bro, Jorge Masvidal is such a damn sore loser that after losing to Colby, bro is so mad he went and meet him at a steakhouse, snuck up behind him, and sucker punched him and knocked his teeth out. Like, dude, that's next level cope and sore loser syndrome. Like Jorge Masvidal, the amount of you know how hard you have to be coping and as much of a sore loser to go and assault a guy because you lost a fight in the octagon where you had 25 minutes to beat him, but no, you choose to sucker punch him outside of it, and then you get arrested for it. What a moron! I get it. No one likes Colby Covington. He's corny, but bro, you had 25 minutes to do it, and you chose to sucker punch him outside of a steakhouse in Miami. So you're a coward. Jorge Masvidal, stick to boxing. Talking about a UFC return. Nobody cares to see Jorge Masvidal again. He's old. He's washed up. He's going to be 40 in November. So, yeah, B for old man Masvidal. Moving on, Luke Rockhold. We'll put Luke Rockhold in the C tier. Actually, we'll put him in the B tier just because he is so horrible on the mic. He deserves B tier. Not that it has anything to do with this list. But Luke Rockhold, famously in his loss to Michael Bisping at UFC 199, at the post-fight press conference where they used to do the press conference with all the fighters together before they started the single fighter press conference, he was so damn salty about losing to Michael Bisping, saying that he would come back and kill him and saying that Michael Bisping got lucky and he can beat him next week and all this crazy stuff. And then he wouldn't shake Michael Bisping's hand after the fight. And that dude, he was so salty. And Michael Bisping just rubbed it in his face, asked him how those lemons taste. But yeah, that was like one of the biggest copes ever whenever Luke Rockhold lost at UFC 199. And it was so funny because he had already beat Michael Bisping. So Michael Bisping coming off a movie set, 2 weeks notice, KOs him. Of course you're going to be embarrassed. But dude, bro, don't underestimate your opponent, Luke Rockhold. And yeah, Michael Bisping cracked him on the chin with the left hook Larry. And yeah, Luke Rockhold came with the biggest sore loser approach to a press conference ever. So he deserves a B tier today. Moving right along, Marlon Vera in the C tier. Now Marlon Vera, his whole career is a cope because this dude has one of the best chins in UFC history, but continues to just sit back and take rounds off in fights. But he went on record after UFC 299 against Sean O'Malley, saying that Sean O'Malley was greasing, and that's why he lost the fight. That he used hair gel. And nah, bro, you lost the fight because you got cooked for absolutely 5 rounds. And even if Sean O'Malley was greasing, it was a striking match. There was no grappling. So what would greasing have done? Said his hair was super slippery. Nah, bro, you got your ass kicked for 5 rounds and didn't do anything about it. Got cracked with a huge knee, which credit you took. But yeah, Cheeto Vera, not very good at taking losses. Um, Whenever he lost to Figgy recently, he said that he should have took more time off after the O'Malley loss, which I guess is a fair take by him. But specifically after the O'Malley loss, he doesn't like Sean O'Malley and he thinks he's better, but he's not. Cheeto's very overrated, but the fans act like he's like one of the best bantamweights in the world. He's not. But Cheeto, yeah, made some excuses after the Sean O'Malley fight. Not too much of an excuse maker, I suppose. So C tier is fair. Moving right along, Chris Curtis in the A tier. Chris Curtis, if you know, you know. He's a giant baby whenever he loses. Whenever he lost to Jack Hermanson, bro was literally in the octagon throwing a temper tantrum, saying that flipping off Jack Hermanson because Jack Hermanson didn't engage him in a firefight. He did end up apologizing after, but dude, he acts like a 5-year-old that doesn't get extra cookies for his snacks at lunch. Like, bro, you need to calm down, bro. You lost. Stop crying like a little girl and take your loss on the chin and move on. And then whenever he got headbutted by Nasruddin Imavov, he tried to get a disqualification win, and then whenever they stopped the fight and made it a no contest, he pretended like he pretended like he was so devastated that he couldn't go on. So yeah, Chris Curtis, a massive crybaby about everything, can't just copes at the fact that he can't win high level UFC competition fights because he's not that good, and he's also 36, 37 years old, so he's never going to be that good. But yeah, in the A tier for salty man Chris Curtis. And S tier, I'm pretty sure everybody can predict who's in S tier. This is no secret. Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey has, good God, she's made more excuses than anybody ever. Whenever she came back recently and made that memoir, after 9 years of being away from the UFC and not fighting, she still copes to this day about her losses to Holly Holm and Amanda Nunes. She said she had a bad weight cut, her mouth guard was bad, she had concussion, she fell down the stairs, and she was out on her feet with the first shot. And after 9 years, she still doesn't give Holly Holm any credit. She barely gives Amanda Nunes any credit. Ronda Rousey's entire post UFC career has just been a cope about her losses. She was overrated. Joe Rogan hyped her up to beyond belief. She was good for her time, but if you look at her level of competition, it wasn't great. And I mean, bantamweight today still sucks, but still, Ronda Rousey coming up, she fought Cans, and then whenever she met someone who can strike with her, because her striking, she thought that she could strike with Floyd Mayweather. You know the level of delusion to think you can strike with Floyd Mayweather. Said her boxing was better than Mayweather's or on par with. She also said in her memoir or in an interview talking about her memoir that she's never been faster, never been stronger, never been so much better than everyone else, and said that she knew she was the greatest fighter that ever lived. Like, bro, oh my, Ronda Rousey just has her ego is so big. I don't see how anybody can ever have any respect for her. She's the coping queen. She can't take a loss. She never has gave her opponents any credit for the loss. She cried on Ellen about her losses and how the whole world turned on her. Yeah, they turned on you because you didn't take any losses with humility. You continue to cry about it and never give anyone credit for beating you. So, Ronda Rousey, easy S tier. If you disagree with this, then you're a casual. But yeah, go ahead and call me a casual in the comments. That's going to be the end of the video. I appreciate you dorks and nerds watching. As Colby Covington would say, greetings, nerds and virgins, but instead, I'm out. Deuces.